Hello world, it's Robbo here from Moonlight Garage with a video that represents a bit of a shake-up from what I normally do on this channel. Since the start of the pandemic, I've been really impressed with the quality of videos that friends of mine have been uploading to help us all stay up to date with their ongoing projects. For the last several years, I've only essentially made content covering me drifting my car at various events. Now I realised from the start, and I'm sure that many of you out there know, onboard drift footage gets very few views. Basically, unless you're one of the most elite drivers out there, most people might only flick through videos like that in an effort to try and find footage of their own cars on the track. Personally, that's never bothered me, because I've always made these videos as a kind of blog post so that I can remember what happened at each event, and hopefully I can see some progression in my driving from year to year. Given how hard it's been to keep everyone up to date, I thought I could do a similar concept to what my friends have been doing, and make a few videos on projects I've been working on. I figured that some people might be interested in it, and if not, it's super easy for them to just skip over videos like this and continue on to drift content that I will get back to making as soon as we're allowed back out on the tracks. If I find that I like making videos like this, or if I get feedback from you all that videos other than car footage are interesting, then I'll try and keep them coming when I have time and interesting footage to share. I do work on a pretty wide variety of things out here in the shed. Obviously there's the drift car that constantly needs maintenance, tweaks and upgrades. I'm actually planning on cleaning it up in the not too distant future because it's just starting to get a little too bunky for my liking. Aside from that, I also have another AE86 street car that is about due for some TLC, so hopefully I'll have a few goodies coming its way shortly. Clearly from what's happening on the screen right now, I do a little bit of woodwork. This work table's part of an ongoing effort to clean up the shed because it's been slowly getting messier and messier over the past couple of years, and I've just had enough of that. This desk is going to provide a bunch of valuable storage so I can get tools off random shelves and into some sort of organised system. I'd also like to make the shed a nicer place to be. I have a few ideas on small things I can change, and I think they'll have a significant impact. I have found in the past that when the shed is nicer and tidy, I spend more time out there and I'm more productive while I'm in the shed. Anyway, that's a few things I'd like to get on with, so you might see some videos popping up from time to time as I get more time to complete projects and then edit the videos. Now, on to what you're seeing happening in front of you. I first saw a desk like this being built by Travis on the channel Shop Nation while I was in quarantine, and I have to say I was pretty impressed with the functionality he managed to jam into it. His desk had 8 drawers, storage for small parts organisers, and then a full-size dust collection blower that automatically turned on when he used tools plugged into certain power outlets. Super cool. At the time I wasn't considering doing anything like it, but once I got home and tried tidying the mess that I'd left in the shed in my mad rush to get a bunch of projects done before I had to head away for a while, I realised that without a proper place to store things, trying to clean up the shed as it was just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. On top of that, I've always hated sawdust clogging up everything in the shed, so this bench had a few more pluses than the millions of other benches you can find on YouTube tutorials. At least I thought so. With all that in mind, I had enough reasons to con myself into giving it a go. I have made a few changes to the original design, adding a spot for my little bar fridge and extra drawers instead of the small parts organisers, because it was those drawers that were my main motivation for building it in the first place. For the time being, I'm also going to have to make do with an old wet and dry vacuum I already had, instead of a proper dust blower, and I'll be switching that on manually because I could not believe how expensive the automatic system was. To finish it up, I'm going to have to wait on the 3D printer. I'll be making the blast gates and drawer handle with that, and I still haven't decided if I'm going to paint the desk or not yet. If you have any ideas on what colour it should be, maybe let me know down in the comments. The build process went fairly smoothly, with only a few changes here and there. I messed up the measurement on the caster wheels, and so when I first put it up, the desk ended up being slightly taller than my table saw. Luckily I picked that up before the table became too heavy to flip it over and change them out. Other than that, I used a set of old drawer slides that I had lying around to build my first drawer, and while I was waiting on the bulk pack of other drawer slides to turn up, I used the measurements of it to cut out all of my subsequent drawers. Turns out that the bulk pack was slightly different sizes, and so I had to choose between either leaving a spacer or changing the size of the cabinet a little bit. Given that I'm planning on putting a bunch of heavy stuff in those drawers, I figured I'd fix it properly, and so there was a bit of pulling things out and putting them back in again. So this isn't really in the video, but since finishing up the basic workbench, I've been spending time fitting out all the drawers so that each item has its proper place. Now, I'll admit I'm probably going a little overboard here, and maybe even borderline OCD, but I figured that I clearly have tendencies to make things messy. So if I'm a little overboard now and everything has a proper place, hopefully I'll be able to stay on board and it won't degrade into a huge mess like the rest of the shed was, which got me to this point in the first place. I have to admit that so far, laying everything out with its proper place has given me some satisfaction, and so hopefully that means that I'll be able to stick to it over the long term and avoid getting to the same spot over again. Now that the desk is far enough along to work for its basic purpose, I am starting to think about other projects that I was talking about earlier in the video. Given I took all of the small parts storage out of this desk, I am thinking the next project will likely be a small parts organizer inspired from another YouTuber, Alex Chappelle. Even while I've been organising tools into drawers, I have been getting frustrated that I don't have a proper place to put any of my fixings like screws and bolts and whatever, and that I don't really have any idea of what sizes I have of each when I head down to the hardware store. I haven't started that other project yet, but given I'm doing a decent organisation push right now, I think I'll probably just let myself lean into it and continue on that train of thought until I'm a bit happier with the space as a whole. Once both of those are complete, I should be able to get rid of a fewer sets of cheap temporary shelving that's made up basically all of my storage since I moved into this shed a few years ago. Given both projects are also on casters, I plan on freeing up some space on the north wall to store them when they're not in use, and then I can just drag them out when I need them somewhere. Okay, so that was my first attempt at a non-car related video for something in like 7 years. This is the part of every YouTube video that's super played out and I hate, but if you want to help me get motivation to make more videos like this, then hit those like and subscribe buttons. If one of the ideas I was talking about earlier was of more interest to you than the rest of them, let me know in the comments and hopefully I can make that job a priority and not forget to film when I go ahead and do it. I'll leave some links in the description below for the Shop Nation Alex Chappelle videos where I got ideas for different builds and anything else that I think is relevant. I'll leave you with the rest of the build and then hopefully some links to some of my driving videos after that. Well, the main stars of this video, my bald patch, my plumber's crack, and my super trendy work clothes would all like to thank you for sticking around this long. I do honestly hope you enjoyed watching and look forward to seeing you back for the next one.